The home of jump racing. This is where the magic happens. Feel like a Cheltenham favourite with Paddy Power.
Hello there everybody, welcome to this week's edition of The Road to Cheltenham. I'm delighted to be here in the studio with Ruby Walsh. How are you doing, Ruby?
I'm great, Angus. Yourself?
Yeah, I'm good to be here, Ruby. First time for me, so I'm looking forward to it.
Looking forward to it myself.
Yeah.
It's a show for you looking backwards rather than having to look forward.
It's always easier looking back than it is.
I know it is.
We will try
hence I do this one regularly. It's always easy going that way.
We will look forward a little bit as well, of course, looking ahead to the Cheltenham Festival. We're closing in on it now, but we've got lots of good stuff to look back on. And we're going to start by asking the question as to whether there are any more challengers emerging to Honeysuckle and Appreciate It in the Champion Hurdle. And we've got a couple of clues to take in, Ruby, starting with the Red Mills trial in Tehupo.
Yeah, look, and obviously both horses are going to highlight this week are two 4-year-olds, and it's difficult, 5-year-olds now, but it's difficult for them. Look, but Tehupo did win the Red Mills Hurdle at Gorn, beat Felix Desjardins, Saldier, a few others. Saldier ran in first-time blinkers, but Tehupo was always right behind Felix Desjardins and Saldier. He jumped really well, and at the last in the hurdle in the back straight, he actually jumps himself into a position where he's contesting the lead. But Robert Power takes him back. Saldier misses the third last. Calixius in the Cheveley Park colours the red, white, blue cap, moves up to join Tehupo down into the home straight, but his challenge is relatively short-lived. Now, they were first and second at Limerick over Christmas, but on this occasion, in a much strongly run race, in a much sounder race, Tehupo is head and shoulders the better horse. He moves to the second last when Robert Power sets about him. De Rasso comes out of the pack to chase him, but he jumps the second last well, Angus, and gallops resolutely to the line. What sort of a Champion Hurdle trial is it? I'm not sure.
Yeah, he's won 11 lengths from De Rasso, and it's a long way back to Calixius back in third place. A lot of people were lauding him as being a live Champion Hurdle contender, but he's got to be better than this, surely.
You would have to think so. Now, he was well-minded last season. He didn't go to the Cheltenham Festival. And he's improved with each run this year. But it is hard for 5-year-olds to win the Champion Hurdle. They do win it sporadically. But I don't think... Look, he hasn't faced anything in the calibre of Honeysuckle, let alone Appreciate It yet. So it'll be interesting to see how he gets on. I know Robert Power is talking him up as a big player. He could run well, but I'd be surprised were he to beat Honeysuckle. Yeah,
his last 2 wins have come on heavy ground as well. He's going to face quicker conditions at Cheltenham, you'd have thought.
Yeah, look, will that inconvenience him or not? Time will tell, but look, it was a decent performance, but I think he's an outsider myself.
Place chances?
That's about the size of it now, I'd say.
Yeah, I think
the betting without market or each way, whichever one you choose, but that's where I'd be going with him.
Yeah, OK. That's Tehupo, who won that Red Mills trial last Saturday. Let's talk about the Kingwell Hurdle at Wincanton, and it boiled down to a good tussle between Goshen and Adagio in the end.
It did, and look, if you're talking about Cheltenham, we know left-handed at Cheltenham doesn't necessarily suit Goshen, but look, the line-up in the Kingwell, and obviously Wincanton in February, it's a well-chewed up track at this stage, and the riders are quite keen to ride it wide and come on the stand side, but Goshen gets into the lead. Adagio, Tom Scudamore is directly behind him, and he's following the one he has to beat, which is Goshen. You have Clandalabo, Aladdin, the Green, and Fav War on this side. Now Goshen, he jumped really well for him. Adagio was low and slick. He's a real professional way of jumping. Adagio, you see him with that hurdle, he kicks the top bar, but even at the next, no sign of it having any mark on him, up to the second last. Now, Jamie Moore built it up from a long way out, and Adagio stumbles a little bit at the back of the second last. He gets to the front going to the last, but Goshen, having made this a test of stamina, is really starting to battle, and he basically out-battles Adagio. Now, could Adagio in the Champion Hurdle probably run to the same level as Tehupo? I think he could. I think this really suits Goshen. I think getting to lead at his own pace early in the race and be able to build it from a long way out makes it a test of stamina, and I just think he's outstayed Adagio here.
I thought he showed battling qualities that I wasn't sure he had, to be honest. I think he's always been good when he's been out there rolling along on his own, getting his own way, but he really knuckled down here.
Yeah, he did knuckle down, but I think getting to roll along at his own speed, not somebody taking him on early and getting him going faster than he's able. Is to be able to build into that and make it a real test of stamina. That was a great performance from Goshen. He's won twice now in the last fortnight, both times going right-handed. He obviously did go to Punchestown last year. Be interesting to see if Gary Moore goes back there with him this year or not. But look, he has him in really good form now, and going right-handed is key to his success.
He's got him back, there's no doubt about that. What about Adagio and his champion hurdle claims?
Yeah, look, he's running the Great was a solid run, and that's another solid run off a layoff. Goshen obviously had race fitness on his side, but look, again, you're talking about a horse maybe with a place chance, and look, he ties in with last year's juvenile form with Calixius, with Zanahiyr. We know Zanahiyr is not good enough for Honeysuckle, so it's hard to see why Adagio should be. Here's last year's triumph. Look, Calixius, Hoton Color, who's in the arc, Adagio this side, Zanahiyr jumping in the red cap. You know, and you're tying in Zanahiyr to Honeysuckle this year, and if you watch how he plugs on at the end, he's just behind Adagio. That's on the new course. We're going to the old course. Maybe that'll suit Adagio in the champion hurdle. But again, like Tehupu, I think at best he's a place price, and he's double Tehupu's price.
Yeah, there are the prices at the moment. These are courtesy of Paddy Power. Honeysuckle's 4-9. Appreciate it, 4-1. More of those two a little bit later on in the show. Tehupu in at 7s. That looks a bit short to me. Epatante 10s, 14s Zanahiyr, and 14s Adagio. I had a look at the course track sectionals, Ruby, for that Kingwell hurdle, and they echo what you say about Goshen outstaying Adagio, because the final furlong is quite interesting. 14.63 for Goshen, 15.03 for Adagio, and Adagio got to Goshen, and Goshen then went again and outstayed him all the way to the line. Yeah,
and also fitness as well.
Yeah,
he may have outstayed him on the day, but one horse hadn't run since Cheltenham in November, the other had ran at Sandown a fortnight ago. So look, the battle-hardened horse with fitness, I think, just outstayed him, but because of fitness more so than stamina.
Yeah, like the way Adagio travelled through the race, though. He found a little bit under pressure, and then he was outstayed after the last. We're going to talk more about the champion hurdle and Ruby is going to analyse this next.
So this week on Analyse This, we're going to analyse why Tom Scudamore challenged Goshen on his right hand side or the inside of Wincanton and didn't wait for the split on the outside, which is left. Now, I asked that question because we all know from all form that Goshen goes right. But as we watch the Kingwell hurdle and go to the first hurdle, Goshen is directly in front of Tom Scudamore and Adagio. So Tom can see exactly what Goshen is doing, and he does go slightly to his right at the first hurdle. But at the second hurdle, if you watch Goshen, he goes to the middle flight and he's straight, very straight. Now, we don't have a head-on for the next two hurdles, but by the time they get to the third last, Tom in the orange is directly behind Jamie Moore and Goshen, and again Goshen goes straight. So the current is now in Tom Scudamore's mind. Whatever about history or the past, he's acting to what's happening in front of him on this occasion. Now, they both come wide into the home straight. Tom Scudamore wants to get on this side of Goshen because Goshen, the ground is better over here, most likely, that's why they're out here, but Goshen could go right. But Tom switches because what he's seen today, Goshen has gone straight. But lo and behold, he has no sooner switched and gone to joy Goshen to the second last when Goshen does go right and leaves an acre of ground between the running rail and himself. Now, that is the inside. I know it's the outside, but that's now the inside in this race. So Adagio challenges Goshen and gets past him on his outside. But that also helps Goshen. Goshen has the rail, Adagio's in the middle of the track. They both jump the last. Still loads of room on the inside of Goshen for Adagio to challenge, and Adagio is also keeping Goshen straight by being on that side of him, and Goshen out battles him. I don't need to tell Tom Scudamore that, but I'm only explaining to people why he did do it, because he reacted to the current, which was Goshen going straight at the hurdles prior to the second last.
Sort of recency bias, if you like. He sees
Always.
what's happening early on and reacts.
Always will be as a jockey.
Yeah.
Always will be. If you stay in there waiting for Goshen to go right and he goes straight, in your mind you're thinking, well, he's gone straight at the last two. Of course he did. And that is why you react and how you end up in the wrong place at times.
How much difference did that make?
It was probably the difference between winning and losing, but it's a split-stick decision. I would have thought so. You let Goshen get on the other side, he's going to drift in the middle of the track, and Adagio has a straight run on this side.
Interesting, Ruby. Yeah, difficult for Tom Scudamore, though, wasn't he?
Probably, it was.
On the day, he probably did the right thing, but
you're thinking, and hindsight is what you're working on. But no matter how much you know, you will always react to the current.
Yeah, if he'd tried to go up what was then the inside where that big gap was, and Goshen didn't go,
that's it. You win some, you lose some.
Yeah. Interesting decisions that you have to make, and they're split-second decisions as well. We talked about whether there are some good contenders for the Champion Hurdle beyond the top two, Honeysuckle and Appreciate It. We're not too sure there are. So how are these two going to get on? Well, let's compare what they did last year at the festival. Appreciate It winning the Supreme, of course, and Honeysuckle taking the Champion Hurdle. And we're going to run these consecutively. They start almost exactly at the same time, so there's no problem with the starts whatsoever. Left-hand side Honeysuckle, right-hand side Appreciate It. And it might pay for you to know the final times as we take them along. They're about level at the first. Appreciate It was 3:56.32, 3:54.63 Honeysuckle, 1.69 seconds quicker. And Ruby, what we see in the early stages is that the Supreme was quite strongly running compared to the Champion Hurdle. They went harder.
Yeah, but the Supreme had a really confirmed front runner that's jumped out and blitzed, whereas the Champion Hurdle last year, you had Goshen, who we already seen in the Kingwell, likes to warm up to things, and Silver Streak, who it had been a bit of a change of tactics with. But you're watching the Supreme as they get to the first on the right-hand side of your screen, or the second even, having jumped the first together, the Supreme has poached the lead. They're in the air at the, well, not Appreciate It, but the front runner is in the air at the second hurdle, well before the Champion Hurdle field.
Yeah, and they will continue to establish more of an advantage as we watch them climb the hill and then go down the back. And we will stop it at a point where Appreciate It is about 10 lengths clear of Honeysuckle. So they have gone a lot harder in the Supreme. And the finishing speed percentage, which you can get on the Racing TV website, courtesy of Course Track, tell us that Appreciate Its race was strongly run, 100.37 the finishing speed percentage, but 106.74 for Honeysuckle. She's come home quickly. She's come home nearly 7% quicker in the last 4 furlongs than she ran the rest of the race. So that's more steadily run the Champion Hurdle, allowing a faster finish.
Yeah, and you see there by the third hurdle, Angus, Appreciate It has poached a good lead on Goshen and Silver Streak. And if you're tying him to Honeysuckle, he's in the green in the right-hand side, the green and blue in second place. Appreciate It in the left-hand column is fourth. And if you just watch the two of those as much as the race, it'll guide you to where they are. I mean, they've gone by what is the playing fence in the back straight in the Supreme. Look how far they are.
There we go.
Front.
We've stopped it there, Ruby, yeah. What, 10 lengths or so?
Well, he's landed.
He's sat second. What is he?
2,
4 lengths?
3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, definitely the guts of it. I mean, I'm only counting each horse space and trying to add them up there in my head.
It's not an exact science.
It's not an exact science, but
she's not even got to the hurdle yet. You can just see her in the pale colours.
He's well clear of her.
And he's well clear. Yeah, let's carry on rolling it and see what happens from here. So they are going hard, but once they get to the top of the hill, in the Supreme, the margin begins to change and the Champion Hurdle horses begin to run them down. And they finish off the last 4 furlongs, as you might imagine, quicker than they did in the Supreme. But it's a marked difference. It's huge. 53.63 for Honeysuckle, 57.44 for Appreciate It. He's got a little bit tired where she's come home strongly because she saved more petrol in the early part of the race, Ruby.
Yeah, she has, and you saw there at the 4th last hurdle, Appreciate It was still holding the same advantage over that he had at the 5th last. He's well over that road crossing Appreciate It. He's turning to face down the hill. He's starting to descend. She hasn't turned that bend to descend just yet. Now she obviously is, but we'll see where they get to the 3rd last hurdle, where they are in relation to each other. Now the Revs look to be up in the Champion Hurdle more so than the Supreme, where Paul Townend is taken off the front runner and looks to be in control of the race. He's in the air. She's almost caught up on him in that space of time. So she's descended much quicker than he has. Now she's switching out to have her run to come at the horses in front. Paul Townend is completely sitting there waiting for a challenger to come at him. He's in control, but I would imagine she has passed him already, and she has.
Yeah, she's just edged past him there, half a length or so when they jump that hurdle before they turn and face the hill. And now this is where she's much quicker than him from here on into the winning line.
But he's still going to go and win 15 lengths or more.
Oh, yeah.
And, you know, but it just goes to show you the turn of foot that she has. And that's what makes her so good. She's quickened off the bench. She's going to the last. Rachel Blackmore spots a good stride. She's in the air, well in front of Appreciate It. Now, what she also has, Angus, is Grade 1 winning form at 2.5 miles. Yet she showed a turn of foot here to win a steadily run race. So, look, what does Appreciate It have to do to beat her? In all reality, probably climb a mountain.
It's a tough ask, there's no doubt about that. But he's probably got a shot at it, hasn't he? He's got a good shot at it. He's a strong stayer, isn't he? He's a resolute galloper. And how would she have fared if she'd been in that strongly run Supreme? She probably would have won, but how close would it have been between them?
Who knows? And that's what we're going to find out Tuesday fortnight or whatever it is. But look, it does add intrigue. But the one thing about Honeysuckle is stamina is proven with her. And even if you watched her in the Irish Champion Hurdle last year in Leopardstown, which was a really strongly run race, that suits her too. And that steadily run Champion Hurdle and the strongly run Irish Champion Hurdle were her best performances. So she can do it both ways. You know, having watched that, I'm probably less confident about Appreciate It.
She has got a tremendous turn of foot. She did a 12.86 15th furlong. She sprinted up the hill. Appreciate It was just eased down a little bit close home. If you were to ride Appreciate It in the Champion Hurdle, how would you ride him?
Oh, like Paul rode him in the Supreme. And he's either going to be good enough or he's not. But heading out there trying to do something to beat Honeysuckle, that won't work. Yeah,
there's no point trying to get a beat, just try and get the best out of what you're sat on.
Exactly it.
Yeah. Fascinating stuff. They're good, those split screens, aren't they? They give you an insight as to how races were run.
Or maybe they confuse you. Who knows? But it's interesting.
Yeah, I think your confidence is waning now, isn't it? Great stuff. Okay, that was a look at the Champion Hurdle. Albert Bartlett next. Hillcrest is 100 to 30 on the back of his recent success at Haydock. Minella Crooner 4 to 1, Ginto 9 to 2, Journey with Me 6s, and Minella Kakuna 7 to 1. Chantreurs 8s and 9s hollow games, 10s and bigger. The rest. Let's start at the top, Ruby, with Hillcrest, who won the Prestige at Haydock last Saturday and did so in pretty good style, and was installed about 7 to 1, but has been back since then.
Yeah, he has. And look, this was an interesting race to watch, Angus, in that they went a really good gallop. Hillcrest in the middle and Green Book on this side. Jumps the first really well. Hillcrest, time to get around into the home straight to what is the fourth hurdle, which is this one here. Hillcrest makes his first mistake, kind of bunny hops and lands hind end first. Now he puts down at this, which is the last hurdle first time round, takes an extra stride than Richard Patrick would have wanted, but you can see where himself and Green Book are starting to pull well clear of the remainder, and they run a pretty solid gallop here all the way around into the back straight, which is a lot of galloping in Haydock from the last hurdle to the first in the back straight. And these two don't slow down, they go a really strong gallop. And if you keep an eye on Aidan Coleman in the red colours, if you look at his leg as he heads into the back straight, it was squeezing. Green Book misses the first in the back, Hillcrest pings it, and then the others start to close up on him. Kate the last down the back, Green Book has run his race, third last again, Hillcrest gallops on and lands kind of bunny hops. That's just what he does, but maybe that's his size. But he shows at the second last that he can be nimble, he's good at the last, but from here home he maintains a pretty resolute gallop. Now, I wasn't sure watching it live how good a performance was. Your eyes can often be deceiving. To me, he starts to quicken now when Richard gives him a backhander, but you're wondering, was that just a dour slog, or is there figures to back up what it was? It was really testing ground. He's gone into favour for the Albert Bartlett. He's jumping. Look, he's on the new course in Cheltenham. Jumping is not vital in that track. We know that over hurdles. But it's just to try and contextualise that, and I think against the Rendlesham you probably could, but it was a good performance, but it just looks slow motion, yet I think your figures prove it's probably not. Yeah, we'll have a look at it in the context of the Rendlesham a little bit later on, but if I can just give you one figure which tells you that he wasn't plodding. I don't think he was plodding. 104.14 was his finishing speed percentage, so he's finished off 4% quicker of the last 3 furlongs and he ran the rest of the race. He was not stopping, he was not plodding. That's what's impressive, but to your eye, that doesn't look apparent, which what makes that interesting, because the clock doesn't lie. So that is obviously a really good performance, and some good judges have twigged that, and that's why he's now favourite. That's why he's now favourite, yeah. If you want to see plodding, we've got that for you later in the Rendlesham. No problem about that. We can bring you plodding as well as other stuff here on the road to Cheltenham. What about Chantreurs, who won at Clonmel on Thursday, has subsequently been put up by Tom Seagal in his anti-post price-wise column in the Racing Post. So there's been money for
Chanteuse, lightly raced with the Henry de Bromhead team. Henry, who's got a good record in the Albert Bartlett.
Yeah, look, jumped that hurdle big and bold. The horse in front is Ivan, who's an 8-year-old maiden. Obviously the horse directly behind Chanteuse, who makes a mistake at what will be the third last next time round of Mr. Fred Rogers, who unfortunately suffered a fatal injury. But Chanteuse, big and bold at the last, looks to me like he's only doing enough in front, and he beats Ivan quite readily. Monishter Amui is back in third. It was a decent performance. It's probably a race that Henry has used in the past as a stepping stone towards the Albert Bartlett. Manila Indo was second to Allaho in it many years ago, and he went on to win it. It's a decent performance, but look, I know Ivan has a bit of age and he has experience, and therefore should have the stamina and the wherewithal to run a good race over 3 miles, but he's still a maiden, and that's what Chanteuse beat.
It was quite a steady gallop as well. It wasn't a true test at the trip either, but he has been supported for the Albert Bartlett Chanteuse, and he's lightly raced. I think he only had 5 starts in his career, so there could be a fair bit more to come.
Oh, there could, and look, Henry's horses are definitely starting to peak or come into form just about the right time, which is rather Henry de Bromhead like.
It is. I thought he'd been a little bit quiet, but things are beginning to gel for the de Bromhead team now. So that was 2 interesting performances as far as hurdling is concerned in the Albert Bartlett. Let's turn our attentions to chasing now and have a little chat about the Ryanair in the context of Fakir Dudery, who ran in the Ascot Chase and indeed won it. It was a good bit of placing, I felt, from Joseph O'Brien team, taking a decent prize, Ruby.
Yeah, it was, and look, he was a tough winner, more so than a good winner. He battled well down the straight in Ascot and what looked a pretty strongly run renewal of the Ascot Chase. Look, all known form show us even that he's not good enough to beat Allaho. And even if you watch him in his last run in Thurles in the Horse and Jockey Hurdle, I know he made a bad mistake at the first fence, and Mark Walsh gave him a good ride then. He didn't rush him back into it. He allowed him to warm up, and he runs on to finish second to Allaho. But look, even you go back to last year's Ryanair, you go to every bit of form that involves Allaho and Fakir, and it points directly at Allaho. And I think Allaho will have improved for this run in Thurles as he did last year. And look, Willie and Patrick Mullins both put them up as the one they think will be their most likely winner at Cheltenham. Yeah, big call now, picking an odds-on shot, but it was good.
They're brave, those lads, aren't they?
Yeah, they are.
Yeah. It was my idea of the best bet shot as well. I'm as brave as them. Mark Walsh minded Fakir a little bit there, didn't he?
Well, look, when a horse makes a mistake at the first fence, you're riding a completely different race. From there on, especially against a horse like Allaho, that you're not good enough to beat anyway, from there on you are riding to obtain your best possible finishing position, which for Fakir Dudari from that point was definitely second. Yeah,
it was just to get him into second place, not give him a hard race, trying to chase up Allaho and get within a couple of lengths. He might as well be second and beaten 6 lengths. Ryanair Chase betting then Allaho right at the top of the market, as Ruby was just saying, and he's 8 to 11. Energumene at 5 to 2. A plus tard, not going to run there, is he? 6 to 1. Chacun pour soi, more like the Champion Chase, 7 to 1. So that's
next to the bet in the Chamblou at 8 to 1.
That's it, basically.
And he'll be fresh.
Not going to go there.
Doesn't look like it. Maybe Fakir will. Janadel, who knows? Tornado, probably Gold Cup. Asterion, probably Gold Cup. Yeah.
So let's have a chat about Melon. He's 12 to 1 for the Ryanair Chase at this year's festival. He's the subject of our social poll this week, and we are asking, where would you run him next? Where would you go with Melon? Do you like the Ryanair Chase for him? Do you like the Stayers Hurdle? Do you like the Cheltenham Gold Cup? Or do you want to run him somewhere else? And if you want to run him somewhere else, let us know exactly where you want to go with him. Let's get Ruby's thoughts on this. All I know about Melon, Ruby, is that for the last 4 years he's been in my 10 to follow. And he hasn't won me a lot of points.
No, but in fairness to Melon, he has most certainly paid his way.
He has.
Where would you go with Melon next? I don't know where you go with him. I think when you look back on it, Angus, the signs were there for Melon. When Lebec decided to jump off and beat him in a Supreme Novices, I guess Melon's life was always going to be unlucky, wasn't it? Yeah,
when Lebec did him in the Supreme, he decided to start for
when
once.
He consented to start, that was the end of it. That just shows you how unlucky Melon was going to be. But look, he did win the Red Mills Chase at the weekend, and it was a good performance. He was entitled to win it on all form and figures. Pops the first fence with his ears pricked, cheap pieces on him which seemed to suit him. Deadly Tiger hard line size and Potsy behind him. Wings the second, Deadly Tiger reaches for it. They're down the straight, fifth fence comes out of Paul's hands, big and brave. Paul commits him at the 6th and he flies it, and the 7th. Look, he was entitled to do what he did here, but you'd have to like the way he did it. Ears pricked down to the second last. His worst jump was the last jump when he has the race in the bag. It's in a bit close and knuckles, but it just shows that he is capable of winning a race. And to be fair to him, he hasn't run out of Grade 1 company all that often in his life either.
Yeah. Is that a confidence booster? Do you believe in that sort of thing?
Yeah, of course I do. Definitely get his head in front, won't do him any harm. But does he go Ryanair, does he go Gold Cup? He's in the Grand National. I don't know. Surprised he didn't put him in the cross-country race.
Or would they swerve Cheltenham completely with him? And
could do. I mean,
for injury or something?
He had run disappointingly the last couple of years at the Dublin Racing Festival, so it was a deliberate manoeuvre not to run him there. But look, he has run well at the Cheltenham Festival. He's been second 4 times. I'd say now, bar he won't load or something, he'll be at the Cheltenham Festival.
He's got absolutely no choice in the matter. He'll be going to Cheltenham, you would have thought. So what are the results of our social poll then, as far as Melon are concerned? And it's the Ryanair Chase, Ruby. Stayers 21.8%, Cheltenham Gold Cup 14.7%. I think that's fair enough. None of the above 25.8%, but the Ryanair Chase it is. Take on Allaho.
Yeah, something has to finish second. So we'll see what happens. But yeah, Ryanair, and I suppose I wouldn't be surprised if he goes to entry.
Yeah, OK. That's what everybody thinks about Melon. Let's talk about what you've been saying about Melon. We've got a number of tweets come in. We've got Scott Rudderham, first of all, Ruby. He said he just won his first race in ages, so surely stick to that distance. It's got to be the Ryanair.
Yeah, I think it was the Grader race, Scott, that probably helped him as well. And finding another one of those, that could be the thing to do, couldn't it? Webster Cup and Navan, just around the same time as Cheltenham. Can't see Willie going there though.
No, he won't. He'll just put him on the lorry, won't he? Surely.
Yeah.
Richard Cook has replied to Scott and he said, don't think can win, but Allo will scare plenty off in the Ryanair, so considering his course form, they must have a place chance in that race. Yeah, probably. Definitely,
and the other way you look at it is you probably should never be afraid of one horse. I mean, if you avoid the Ryanair and Allaho tips up at the first, you'd be fairly pulling the hair out of your head thinking about that.
Yeah, and when we look to the betting for the Ryanair, there's a number of horses who are going to go elsewhere as well. So he might have a place chance. What about the Clydesdale Colt? He says perhaps the Galway Plate, Ruby. Seriously though, what's not to like about Melon? Back in the winners' enclosure again. He does deserve credit for that. And it was a wonderful bit of placing, Ruby. Well done.
It was nothing to do with me, but. Yeah, of course it's great to see him back in the winners' enclosure. So long since he won a race, and I think that just about sums it up. Could I see him being in training for the Galway Plate? I would be surprised.
Yeah, I wouldn't see that. Matt Polly's got a completely different idea. Veterans Chase, he thinks.
It's okay, Matt. The handicapper does give all the horses a chance in Ireland, so we don't need Veterans Chases.
Yeah, that answers that one pretty simply. Handicapper takes account of their age. That's right, Ruby, isn't it?
Sometimes.
Let's have a look at some more talking points from the last 7 days or so and take you to Haydock Park on Saturday. Firstly, for the Grand National Trial, which is won by the Galloping Bear, trained by Ben Jones, who's making a good impression this season. He's got some very good statistics. What did you make of this, Ruby?
Yeah, look, this is the road to Cheltenham. That doesn't necessarily mean that every road leads exactly to there. And what you see here is Bristol Demise, Sam Brow, the Galloping Bear, and it was a real test of stamina. But look at the grey horse in front, 3 out, what a jump. But unfortunately, 4 out, 3 out. But when he gets to 2 out under the weight, he's just running out of petrol and gets in close to that one and seems to knock the wind out of his sails, and the Galloping Bear comes at him. Now Ben Jones, who's having an incredible season, did mention maybe the Irish Grand National at Fairyhouse for him. I watched him winning in Lingfield. We've watched him winning here at Haydock on pretty testing ground. Fairyhouse at Easter traditionally would be a bit drier. I think there could be a Grand National in him. Not sure it'll be Irish, but it could be Welsh.
That could be the one with a bit of dig in the ground, couldn't it?
Yeah, he's a decent horse. Great win for Ben Jones and for Ben Clark, and a great effort from the runner-up. But look, they're horses that ran Saturday that are on a different road and going a different place, but they're still good horses.
Yeah, Bristol Demise still got it, hasn't he? Still got an engine.
Great run out of him. He jumped like a buck for Sam as well, and look, just under the weight. He ran out of puff late on, but there's still a race to be won with him anyway.
Definitely. particularly at Haydock. Absolutely loves Haydock, doesn't he? Ben Jones, you just saw him in shot there. He's having a tremendous season. I was just saying to Ruby earlier that over 30% of these runners this year have been placed. That's some going. He's picking up plenty of prize money.
It is incredible going.
Yeah,
He's
a guy to keep a close eye on. This horse who we're going to have a look at now is definitely worth keeping a close eye on. It's Porticello, who won the Victor Ludorum juvenile hurdle at Haydock Park, and he did it in style. He won 17 lengths from Sky Cutter.
Yeah, I love the way he went to the first hurdle there under Josh Moore, attacked it and jumped his way to the front. Josh then sat him back to keep him with company. But look, he had ran over hurdles in France at Auteuil. He's a slick jumper, he's a powerful galloper. A lot to like about him. Puts the race to bed here. Josh sends him at the third last, flies it. It's race over. Second last, Josh goes to steady him. Porticello, I know more about jumping than you, and let's fly himself. Yeah. And then Josh sends him at the last again, and he's very good at it. Great to see Josh Moore back riding winners as well. But this is a good performance. I'm not sure Doncaster really suited him the last day. The dig in the ground definitely helped him here. But it was a likeable performance from a horse that jumps and stays.
It was a very good performance indeed. Triumph Hurdle is on the agenda.
Has to be for him, and the way he stays, the way he jumps, he would obviously like a few more hurdles in the race than there is. But you can see him up there on the front end, and he'll be in the mix when they round off the bend, you'd imagine. Yeah,
he certainly will be. I wonder whether he'll want a bit of dig in the ground. That's the only thing I think about him.
Who knows what it'll be like in a fortnight's time, or 3 weeks' time even.
Exactly, it'll be what it'll be, but Porticello's got an engine. He looks a really nice type for the Gary Moore team. And we're going to chat about the Rendlesham as well. Holstone was the winner of this, bouncing back to form in an attritional race, and it was almost last horse standing who won, really.
This is the plodding you were on about earlier,
This is the plod fest, yeah.
Yeah, look, you've top bill Ben in front, Molly's Ollie's Wishes, Emmett Tom, third win, Thomas Darby, Holstone down the inside. Are any of these likely, before they even started, to be Stayers hurdle horses? No. But what they do have is a good break from here to entry, and when they all go and take each other on in the Stayers hurdle, could Holstone in the Simon Munir Isaac Suede colours and the right of shot, could he emerge in the 3 mile hurdle at Aintree as a contender? Gets in close to the third last, and for a horse who hadn't had a run in a long time, he manages to regain his momentum, jumps to second last nicely. Sam delivers him to tackle Topville Ben at the last with a good jump, and he stays on to ultimately win the race. Only 3 finish, which is kind of unique for a 3 mile hurdle race that they all had to pull up. That's how testing it was. But again, I can't see him lining up in the Paddy Power Stayers hurdle, but he could be a player as a fresh horse at Aintree.
Yeah, he's had a very hard race here, and the reason I talk about plodding as far as this race is concerned, I'm not saying that he's not a decent horse, Holstone. What I'm saying is the race was very strongly run, and they were really tired up the home straight in the conditions. That's the point I wanted to make. So let's compare Holstone with Hillcrest, Albert Bartlett's favourite, and this will tell you all you need to know about how the races were run. 93.9% the finishing speed percentage for Holstone, so they've gone hard and got very, very tired. 104.14 as far as Hillcrest is concerned. So they've just got an even gallop there, and it's allowed Hillcrest to finish off his race. It's not that Holstone is a plodder by nature, it's that he found himself in a really tough war out there.
Yeah, it was, and obviously the speed you go in early race dictates how you finish them, but I still thought that Hillcrest and the Green Book went a pretty decent gallop, so it probably for me makes Hillcrest's finishing performance all the better. I mean, maybe when you're watching races in Haydock, it takes forever for them to get up the home straight.
It does anyway.
And your eyes can deceive, but look, the times don't, and that's a good finishing time from Hillcrest, and it probably warrants him being in the position he's in the Albert Bartlett.
Yeah, just under 8 seconds quicker than Holstone. And look at the last 4 furlongs, 70.29 compared to 62.16. That is, as Ruby says, a function of how the race was run, not always a function of ability, but I think it tells us that Hillcrest is a pretty useful individual and will have a good chance in the Albert Bartlett. Holstone wouldn't want to run too soon, you wouldn't have thought, because he might bounce out of that because he had such a hard time of it out there at Haydock Park. But he was in the winner's enclosure, that's the main thing. OK, let's have a look back at Navan. This was the rerouted Boyne Hurdle meeting. It was going to be run on Sunday, rerouted to Tuesday, waterlogged on Sunday. So away we went on Tuesday, and the Devil's Coachman won the Boyne Hurdle under what I thought was a a cracking Mark Walsh ride.
Yeah, most certainly was. Well judged. Look, Ashdale Bob is making the running. The Devil's Coachman as well dropped in. Gran Roy, the horse of Martin Brazel's Longhouse Poet that won the Thyestes, and obviously Ronald Pump is in there as well. Now, Gran Roy kind of rolls on out of the back straight under Dennis O'Regan in the red cap on the front end here. Ashdale Bob has pulled back off him, but the Devil's Coachman has a little bit of ground to make up from here. And I thought Robert Power was in the green colours, really dictated things, jumps to third last well. Devil's Coachman is quite wide of him down to the second last, but Ashdale Bob flies it. For a second you're thinking, oh, Mark, has Puppy got away in you, but Devil's Coachman jumps the last well, and then from there home, this was really good out of Mark Walsh. Never hits this horse behind the saddle. Will tell you how confident he was on his back and delivers him pretty much in the shadows of the post to win it. The one thing about the Devil's Coachman is his best form does seem to be on heavy ground. He's in the Coral Cup and a few other races, but he looks like a horse that would need an ease in the ground.
It's such a good ride tomorrow because he's won the race, but he's looked after him at the same time, with Cheltenham in mind possibly.
More the ride of a flat jockey than a jump jockey. I was never confident enough to do that. I'm
sure I
was always a bit closer than that. No, definitely didn't. No.
The fact he didn't pull his stick through was impressive, wasn't it?
If I won that distance, they were all out and just barely won. They never won that distance comfortably with me riding them.
Yeah, it was good stuff. Confident stuff from Mark Walsh on the Devil's Coach. I'm seeing him in the Coral Cup now, and he'll be none the worse, I don't think, for that Boyne Hurdle, because he didn't have a hard time of it. Let's have a chat about Farouk Dalain as well, and this will be in the context of the National Hunt Chase. He won the 10 Up chase at Navan. What did you make of this, Ruby?
I thought it was a good performance, and the runner-up Beacon Edge obviously won the Drinmore early in the season, fell behind Galloping the Champ at the Dublin Racing Festival, and there's talk of him maybe going to the Brown Advisory, but Farouk Delane's jumping was only okay. You saw him at the second fence in the White Cap at Jigginstown where he made a mistake there, but Braeside at the back, who was many people's fancy for the Grand National, always looked to be going as fast as Braeside was able and was under pressure from a long way out. Now the one horse I was greatly taken with here, Farouk Delaine misses again, Beacon Edge jumps it well, was Beacon Edge. I haven't always been complimentary about his jumping, but to watch him in the 10 Up, it was definitely the best round he'd put in. Out jumped Fakir Dudari early in the back straight, again at the fourth last there. Then Farouk Delaine and Beacon Edge then end up in a bit of a duel from the second last, and Farouk Delaine, for my money, outstays Beacon Edge, who nods slightly at the back of the last, but I just thought the stronger stayer won this race. One has been mentioned for the National Hunt Chase, the other for the Brown Advisory. I think Beacon Edge has Ryanair Gold Cup written all over him at Ferryhouse.
Do you think so? Yeah. Not Cheltenham then?
Who knows?
Who knows? National Hunt Chase though, for Farouk Delaine, he'd have to jump better, wouldn't he?
I think with company maybe he might on a bit better ground. He jumped really well at Limerick at Christmas when he got touched off by Master McShee. But they also have connections, have run Wild Fred for that race, and I would think he would definitely be the first three.
Let's have a look at the betting. Well, Run Wild Fred is the second in, he's 3-1. Statler's 11-4. Vanillier's in there 11-2. 300-3-5, 6-1. Farouk Delaine 7s, 8. Does he know? Jungle Boogie 8. It's also 8-1. Fury Road 10s and bigger the rest. Anything stand out for you there, Ruby, at all?
Top horses are decent horses, but Run Wild Fred more has the profile for the race than Statler.
Okay, Run Wild Fred for Ruby. What about Does He Know? Because he was a decent winner the weekend at Ascot, taking a Grade 2 Novices Chase. He's got a couple of entries going forward. He's got the Ultima, he's got the National Hunt Chase as well. Hails from the informed Kim Bailey yard. Yeah,
he does. And look, obviously Kim has targeted the Ultima in the past with novices. What was the horse last year? Just got touched off actually. And they won it the year before, I think, wasn't it? But Does He Know has been a little bit wayward at times. I can still remember him running out in Newbury over hurdles, but he's definitely getting his act together and going in the right direction. Yeah,
Inform Yard, the Kim Bailey Yard, a double at Ludlow last week as well. So they're going well at the moment, and he'll be probably targeted at that National Hunt Chase, you'd have thought. We've got the handicap entries through now for the Cheltenham Festival. The headline was probably Frodon with an entry in the Ultima, Ruby.
Yeah, slightly surprised me. He has a very high rating, but look, here he's winning. We can see him behind me actually winning in Down Royal, beating Galvin, Manila Indo and Delta Work. Yeah, why not? Paul Nichols obviously, or possibly, does the old track suit him better than the new? Hard to know. He's won a Cotswold Chase, which is on the new course, of course, but he will definitely entice a few people to run in the Ultima off a decent weight, because Rodon has a pretty high rating.
Yeah, I think it's a bold move. It's an interesting move. He's not going to win a Cheltenham Gold Cup, is he? So
no, he's not.
If you're really honest about it, he's not. So
I couldn't see it, but it'll be interesting to see what they do. Obviously, the yard was slightly under form when he ran at Leopardstown on his last start, so I think he could put a line through that.
Yeah, and if he gets a nice easy lead under Bryony Frost, which he always seems to do.
The handicap chase at the Cheltenham Festival on the first day, third race.
I'd agree.
If he gets a nice easy lead, that'll be a miracle.
It would be. That's what he wants. That's what he likes. Handicap entries are gradually on the slide, aren't they, at Cheltenham? Why is that, Ruby?
I don't know. Is it volume of horses and the quality of horses? I mean, even when you look at the other races at Cheltenham, Angus, to me a lot of things have kind of turned, and I think the Arkle is a classic example of it, where you have a strong favourite trained by an English trainer, but the next four in the betting are all Irish. That used to be the other way around, where you had an Irish horse and the home challenge ready to take him on, 4 or 5 just behind him in the betting. So there is a swing in that, and I think that's probably the difference in the entries. It's just the quality of horse isn't quite in England at the moment, but I do think they're on the way back.
I think they are. We'll talk about that, touch on that just a little bit later on in the show, after we've had a look at the Mayor's Hurdle in a moment. The Close Brothers Mayor's Hurdle is what we're going to concentrate on now and have a good look at some of the leading contenders. And we're going to start with Burning Victory, who won the Quevega Hurdle yesterday. And I'll get Ruby's thoughts on this. I wasn't overly impressed. What did you think?
No, but the first thing you notice there, Angus, is they went through the winning post. This is the only meeting in the year that Punchestown used this track, which is a very, very inside track. Yeah. And it's only 1 mile and 2 furlongs round. So this is not, it's Punchestown, but it's not what you perceive Punchestown to be. It's a really tight track with 2 front runners. Now Burning Victory jumped as well as I have ever seen her jumping, and she jumped better than Queensbrook, who's just behind her in second place, but she was in receipt at £3. Now I wasn't in love with that jump. I thought it was high, she hung in the air, it wasn't through the air and running, and Queensbrook closes her down all the way to the line. And to be honest, flip the £3 the other way and make this a galloping track, and you could very easily see that result turn around.
Yeah. Cheek pieces seem to help her a little bit.
They do,
just liven her up a bit.
Definitely jumping. She's a brilliant run in the Cesara Witch behind Buzz at Newmarket last year. She is a Triumph winner, however lucky she was or not doesn't matter, because her name is on the Roll of Honour and her owner's got the cheque, so she is the winner. And she's a good mare in her day, on her day even. But I would have liked to have seen her go to the line a bit stronger yesterday at Punchestown. Yeah,
I would as well. I thought her head carriage was a bit suspicious as well. But anyway, she got the job done. She won the Quevega Hurdle, a race that William Owens has got a very good record in. Where does she figure then in the Close Brothers market? Let's just have a look at and see how they bet there. I mean, I don't think I'll be taking 7-1, Ruby, but tell me something girl's the favourite at 3s here.
She is the favourite, obviously the winner of the Novice Hurdle at last year's festival. She was winning from well off the pace on that day. Her last run, here she is winning that race. Absolute comes to take on Magic Days, going to the last, jumps it well and powers away to win. Sky Ace is in 4th. It was a good performance, but Magic Days has gone chasing. I'm not certain what has really come out of that race to frank the form, but it was a good performance on the day.
Yeah, and she's installed as the 3-1 favourite at the moment for that. Let's mention Royal Kahala.
I thought she was good in Goran Park in the Galmoy Hurdle, where she beat home by the Lee and Ashdale Bob, who we saw the Devil's Coachman beating earlier. I thought that was a good performance from Royal Kahala, who ran in that Mayor's Novice Hurdle, but she is ground dependent. She does like a good dig in the ground, and whether she used to run in the Close Brothers Mayor's Hurdle or wait for the Paddy Power Stairs Hurdle will depend on the weather. We know she stays. Definitely Goran Park, the trip brought about some improvement in her, and she was good at Leopardstown at Christmas as well. But ground is key to her chance. She's a very good filly. Here she comes to catch Heaven Help Us in front. Tell Me Something Girl is just behind her. My sister Sarah Minx Tiagra. Dysart Diamond in the blue and yellow was third yesterday, and you have Finest Evermore in the yellow colours. But look, Heaven Help Us on her day, she's last year's Coral Cup winner. She's a pretty good, honest filly who sets a fair standard. Tell Me Something Girl comes home well here in 3rd place, and Royal Kahala under Kevin Sexton gets up in the shadows of the post to win. But I do think soft ground is key to her, and it's that run that probably has Tell Me Something Girl favour for the race.
Yeah, Yeah, and Royal Kahala perhaps not running the Close Brothers if it's not very soft indeed. Heaven Help Us, we saw Heaven Help Us there, and you mentioned the Coral Cup last year.
Booked out and made all. Really taken performance.
Wasn't it?
Not a race I thought that you could do that in too easily, but she most certainly did. Got on the front end and galloped them into the ground. Good performance. Not sure she's quite scaled the same height since, although her run in Leopardstown was her best run, and she's been in Grade 1 company outside of that.
Yeah, reminded me of Buena Vista years and years ago in the Potemps, making all the running, and which you wouldn't think you'd be able to do. But she was able to do it there in the Coral Cup last year. Echoes in Rain, she's classy, isn't she? She's third in the Irish Champion. She
is, and probably hasn't improved as much maybe as we had hoped she would have over the summer. She won last year at the Punchestown Festival when she beat Colonel Mustard and Blue Lord. That looks pretty solid form. One is second favourite for the Arkle. The other has chased home John Bon and Sir Gerhard this season, but she hasn't scaled the same heights thus far this season. She was disappointing in the Morgiana. She was, ran okay at Christmas, was third in the Irish Champion Hurdle. Perhaps a step up in triple bring about the improvement in form that's required for her, but also stepping out of a race that has Honeysuckle in it, that doesn't have Honeysuckle, or getting away from Honeysuckle is what I'm trying to say.
Anything to get away from Honeysuckle, yeah. Okay, that's Echoes in Rain. Let's talk about Mrs. Melon, who won the Potemps last year. She was fourth to Thomas Darby, wasn't she,
at Newbury, yeah.
That was a bit disappointing.
It was good performance in the Potemps, which was a handicap, but when she stepped into graded company this year, it's going to sound mad, but it looked like she didn't stay to me. When you're well handicapped, you can probably stay further than you probably do, and it looked like she didn't quite get home at Newbury, and dropping back down to this distance will suit her. Good mare in her day as well. Yeah,
I think she's quite a good mare. She travels strongly, isn't she, through her races?
She does, yeah.
She's an interesting running. What is going to be a very strong race, I think, this Close Brothers Mares Hurdle. You can throw into the mix Martello Sky, who's got Cheltenham form, won there in December, has won 2 of her last 3.
Yeah, tough mare and a hard mare to get past. Grey mare staged really well, out-battled Indefatigable at Cheltenham in December for Aidan Coleman. Obviously you have Indefatigable as well. She was slightly disappointing on her last start behind Maria's Rock, but not sure it was Warwick to her strengths, but look, they are decent mares, but there isn't a Benny de Dieu or an Apple Shade or even an Annie Power, even though she didn't win the race, in it this year, or a Quiviga for that matter. But there are fillies or mares even that do set a pretty decent standard all the same.
Yeah, I always thought that it was a race made for Concertista, but she's going to be chasing, isn't she?
She's gone chasing this season. She was touched off in it last year by Black Tears, who won yesterday's Quiviga Hurdle last year.
You mentioned Marie's Rock, so we might as well just have a quick chat about Marie's Rock. I won a listed race at Warwick last time up on the listed Mares Hurdle. Yeah,
and we showed her last week. I'm not sure this was the strongest run race because the winner in the second came from well back, and she got a great split off the home turn, but you'd like the way she quickened from the last. She ran well enough in the Great Wood, which has a tendency to produce winners at the festival, but I think she has to step up again.
Yeah, no, I definitely would agree with that. Do you agree with me that this is going to be quite a strong race?
It's going to be a very competitive race. There mightn't be, I can remember Apple's Jade beating Limini and Vroom Vroom Mag. It mightn't be that standard, but it could be that competitive.
Yeah, tell me something else. 3-1, Concertista, who's not going to go, we don't think, 7-2, Royal Kahala 5s, along with Stormy Island. Perhaps a quick word on Stormy Island, Ruby, because she's very useful.
I think she sets the standard myself. Her Relkeel run, where she beat the Geldings, was a solid one. She was placed in a Mares Hurdle before. She seems to be in good form. She won at Fairyhouse last year and at Punchestown. And yeah, I think she's in really good nick. And in what's a very competitive race, I think you can argue she sets the standard, but yet she's 14 in the betting.
Irish have got the upper hand in this one, haven't they?
Most definitely in this particular contest.
So the Close Brothers Mares Hurdle might be a race that will go to the Irish. Certainly looks that way if you have a look at the betting. But will the Irish dominate the other major races at Cheltenham? Ruby thinks they might not be quite as dominant as some people think. Is that correct?
I think it is. I mean, and it starts with the Supreme. I mean, I know Dysart Dynamo and Sir Gerhard are very good horses, but so too are Constitution Hill and John Bon. And I don't think anybody will fall off the stand in Cheltenham in a just in what is it, 18 days or 19 days time
Yeah.
was Nicky Henderson to win the Supreme. And then you'll walk straight into the Arkle, and Edwardstone sets the standard. You have several good Irish horses, but Edwardstone is the rightful favourite. And before you know where you are, it could be at that stage England 2, Ireland 0. It might get to Britain when the High Senior comes in, but you know that'll be the great debate again we get to there. Now the Champion Hurdle, you'd have to think we'll go for export. Who knows about the handicaps, and we're leaving those aside.
Yes.
And in the National Hunt Chase on the first day, you also have 300 through 5. He hasn't blown anybody away, but he keeps winning. And he looks to have a horse with that kind of profile, enough runs under his belt, who only ever does enough that he could be a challenger in it. You go on to the second door, to the Ballymore. We don't know exactly what Willie Mullins is going to run, but you have Stage Star and Walking on Air. And they're two pretty decent novices. Again, look, Stage Star won the race at Newbury, can't think of his name, and then Walking on Air I thought was very impressive the last day. But look, they're good novice hurdlers. You obviously have Brave Man's Game and a High Senior in the Brown Advisory. Look, Brave Man's Game 7-4 favourite. This is going to be apparently going to be the Irish dominant, and already I've passed up by 3 favourites, and we have the next one to come, which is Shishkin. 4. Now I know the strength and depth behind them was anything to go wrong with the best one lies with the Irish, but if the top English horses deliver, all of a sudden you have a fair swing as regards winners between one country and the other. The cross country, it looks maybe like Easy's Land could be the best in the English Challenge, and I'd be surprised if they win the bumper. But you get to the Turners, it'll surprise me if he beats Gallopin de Champs and Bob Bollinger, but L'Homme Presse is setting a fair standard over here. He was a good winner of the Dipper. Venetia Williams is in flying form, so is Charlie Deutsch. So L'Homme Presse, you'd have to think has a chance, even if we're not quite giving that one to the English. Stayers Hurdle, that looks wide open. You have Flooring Porter, Classical Dream for Ireland, but from the other side you have Champ, Thyme Hill and Paisley Park. Now what side of the bed Paisley Park gets out on will determine what kind of race he runs in. Thyme Hill, he's a pretty solid horse, and Champ, well, his Ascot run was brilliant. His run in the Cleve wasn't so good. And then in the Mayor's Novice Hurdle, you've last year's Cheltenham bumper third, L.A. Bell, who won the Sydney Banks on her last start at Huntington. That was over 2.5. You bring that back to 2 miles, I think on the new course it'll suit L.A. Bell, so I think she's a wonderful chance. And I'm not trying to be unpatriotic here, but when you're being realistic and you look at, there's a lot of English horses with chances, and this mightn't just be the green landslide that all of my fellow countrymen who usually see this through green tinted glasses, who now have green goggles on underneath them, are seeing. You go to the Triumph, grand, we have Vauban and Pied Piper, but the horses they haven't run up against are Dr. Parnassus and Porticello. I'd still think it'll be a surprise should one of the English horses win, but they still have live runners. And Albert Bartlett, there's the favourite, Hillcrest. I wasn't so sure watching his Haydock performance, but you've backed it up on figures for me to suggest he's a worthy favourite. In the Gold Cup, well, the best challenge is probably the unexposed one in Protectorate. It would be a surprise, but I know I won't fall out of the ITV truck if he wins it. I think his run in Aintree was probably a little bit better than a lot of people give it credit for. In the Fox Hunters, you've got Bob and Co and Porlock Boy. They both have chances. Porlock Boy won it last year, Bob and Co won at Punchestown. Why not? And then in the Mrs. Paddy Power, you might struggle, but the Dancing Queen and Zambella are solid performers. So look, that's only picking them out on betting, and that's leaving the handicaps aside. But I'm not sure, with all I've listened to, that the top performers from the English division are as weak as people would have you believe.
Why are they getting stronger, the English? Why is the English challenge suddenly so much stronger?
It's not suddenly so much stronger. It's probably not numerically, the strength in depth is not where it was. But everything is cyclical. It's been going the way it went last year for a number of years. And I don't think it'll be the same windfall for Ireland this year, and that'll be the start of the wheel turning back the other way. Now, to get it back to where it was in 2009, 2010 will take the same length of time to wash out. But I think that the wheel is already starting to turn.
You think it's on the turn? More Irish winners than...
I think that'll definitely happen.
But not such a big amount.
Not such a big amount.
A victory. Very interesting. Maybe decided by the handicaps.
Yeah, and look, we're not even looking at handicaps. Anything can happen. What's going to run, what weight they get, who gets to look at the draw. To me, you're looking at the grade ones or the conditions races there and looking for the best horses. And right now, yeah, there's certain races you think that the Irish will win, but there are good contenders in a lot of races for the English Arts.
Very interesting.
And I'm saying English because it'll definitely be British if a high senior wins. If he doesn't win, they'll just exile Scotland. If none of the Welsh win, they'll get chucked away, and it'll be England. But look, that's what happens with G over here. That'll be your call, not mine.
That's our prerogative. Yeah. If you look at all those that you just highlighted, I mean, the prices they're none massive prices, are they? They're all well in the market, aren't they?
It is possibly more resembles what used to be the Irish Challenge coming to Cheltenham. A horse here and 2 horses there, whereas now that's the English Challenge.
Prestbury Cup 10-1. GB.
Not saying I have anything on that now, but I don't quite think I don't think that's a competition just yet. But I just think I don't think it'll be the landslide it was last year.
Yeah, perhaps just to keep the green tinted glasses on and get rid of the goggles.
I'd say the goggles could come off.
Goggles have got to go. Yeah. We are going to take a look ahead to the weekend very shortly. And finally on the show today, we're just going to have a quick look at what's coming up this weekend. It is something of the last chance saloon for horses that want to go to Cheltenham, really. Yeah,
pretty much is. Look, you obviously have the Adonis and the Dovecote, and in Ireland you have more of a Grand National trial at Ferryhouse and a couple of races in Naas on Sunday. But yeah, the Adonis could be interesting.
Yeah.
Obviously we'll get a look at Porticello's form with Night Salute running, and there is the well talked about Pleasant Man of Paul Nichols's. But I wouldn't be surprised were Night Salute to win here. I think he's been impressive. He only does enough, and Milton Harris is having a great year.
Yeah, he's doing absolutely flying, isn't he? Pleasant Man, 175 grand buyout at the Roger Charlton Yard, making his debut over hurdles, and it's the same thing that Paul Nicholls did with his Arkandar, isn't it? He did exactly the same, introduced him here in the Adonis and then went straight to the Triumph.
Yeah, and sorry Paul, but he's tried it quite a few times since, and it hasn't worked.
Yeah. Oh well, we'll see if it works this time around. You'll see that race live on Racing TV. You've got the Pendle and you've got the Dovecote as well. On Saturday afternoon at Kempton. Bobby Joe at Fairyhouse, just the 4 going to post?
Yeah, all ancient Grand National horses. Any second now, Borough Saint, Cocoa Beach, and Ascari at 10.
That's the one.
Eventually got there.
Yeah, and there's a decent little card at Naas as well.
On Sunday afternoon.
Yeah, looking forward to seeing that. So that's what's to come. A good card at Kempton on Saturday. Do be sure to join us for that. Ruby, thanks very much. For letting me join you on the road.
Yeah, you writing the 4,000 words this week, or about to write them? No. Okay, sorry for all you roadies, there is no column again this week.
No column.
Neither of us are going to commit to Lydia's 40,000 words. No,
absolutely not. Got to write a Dubai column, but that'll be about 300 words.
That's tough enough.
That's not too bad. I've enjoyed it, Ruby. Thanks very much indeed.
Likewise.
It's been good fun. Lydia will be back next week. You'll be pleased to know that was the road to Cheltenham. See you soon.
The home of jump racing. This is where the magic happens. Feel like a Cheltenham favourite with Paddy Power.